Alright guys, welcome back to Teal House Farm, and it's another cooking from the canning pantry video, and I'm going to make one of our favorites that I make almost every week in the winter. Winter is winding down, it's spring now, but I need a super fast meal on the table tonight. You can see it's almost 5 o'clock. We have been outside working in the garden all afternoon. The kids have been playing outside. It's been a beautiful afternoon, and they are tired and watching a movie now because they're a little bit cranky so I can make dinner, and I am tired and I do not feel like starting to make a big dinner now at 5 o'clock because it's still gonna need to be cleaned up, right, when you're all done cooking. And like, I just kind of want today to be done so I can sit down because my body is really tired. So a quick meal from the canning pantry it is. We're gonna make chicken and dumplings. Now I'm going to show you how I make dumplings from scratch. So all the ingredients of the soup are from our canning pantry, which we'll show you in a second, but I do make the dumplings from scratch. But if you are really in a hurry and don't want to make dumplings from scratch, a really simple hack to skip that step and get dumplings on the table faster is to use a can of those really cheap, the off-brand, not the Pillsbury, but the store-bought 50-cent can of the little biscuits. You know, you get the little dough circles and you cook them and it makes a little biscuit. Get those and take the biscuits, separate them, flatten them down, and cut them into quarters and throw those in when we throw our homemade dumplings in. It's almost exactly the same. I won't say it's exactly the same because there is something yummy about homemade dumplings, but it's a great pass by, and it can get chicken and dumplings on the table like that, and it's going to taste homemade. So let me show you everything we need from the canning pantry. We'll get that started, and then we'll make the dumplings. And then this dumpling recipe actually makes way more dumplings than we need for chicken and dumplings. And so we use the leftovers of the dumplings to make dessert to have for after dinner. So we're going to do all that. Here's everything we need to make the soup part of chicken and dumplings. We're going to make a larger batch than you may need. Again, we're feeding 8 people. So we have 2 quarts of chicken broth. We have a quart of our home canned baby carrots. I don't can peas at home. I've talked about that before. It just takes an incredible amount of pea plants to make enough peas worth canning. So we don't do that. We do grow peas, but we just eat them as we grow them, and I buy canned peas at the store. So one of those, I actually might throw a second can in there. We'll see how it looks. I have 2 cans of chicken breast. I don't have any home canned chicken breast, so we're just using the store-bought stuff, but obviously if you had home canned, you'd use about a pint's worth. And then we are also going to need our homemade DIY dry cream of soup mix. This replaces the canned Campbell's cream of soups. If you don't have this, I'll link the recipe to make it below. But if you don't want to use this, what you would do instead is just use 2 cans of cream of chicken soup instead of when we mix that in. And we're going to do 2 cans because we're doing a doubled recipe, so it's got 2 quarts of chicken broth. I know not everybody likes vegetables in their chicken and dumplings. I've seen it made so many different ways. This is how I make it. Anytime I can put a vegetable in the kids will eat, I go for it. Sometimes I throw green beans in there. Corn, you could chop up some zucchini and hide it in there. Today we're just going to do the peas and the carrots, which is the most usual way I make it, is with peas and carrots, because everybody, all of the kids like peas and carrots. So everybody will eat this the way it is. So let's get the soup together and then we'll make the dumplings. First up, we need our big Dutch oven pot here. I love this cast iron pot. It's the perfect size for this recipe. We're going to open up our quarts of chicken broth and add that in. Now, if you are using canned cream of chicken soup to make this quantity of recipe, you will only use 1 can chicken broth. But because we're going to use the dry cream soup, we need 2 cans to help make the soup not too thick. And so we're going to add 1.5 cups of our dried cream of chicken / cream of mushroom soup mix there, and use the whisk to really get it mixed in there, get all those chunks out. It needs a good whisk to get it worked together. Drain our chicken and dump that in, and then we're going to add some vegetables. So first here we got the peas. We need to open the can, and then we need to drain the peas. That is not what I was supposed to do when it came to draining the peas, but we all know how tired mom life is, so let's try again. We drained the peas in the right place and added them, and now we're going to add up the carrots. I don't like adding the whole baby carrots. It's too hard for the kids to eat with a spoon, so I usually just kind of slice them up in the jar with the knife carefully and get chunks. Doesn't matter if they're not even size, as long as they're chunked up a bit. There we go. Don't cover it. Put it on medium-low and let it get nice and bubbly and let some of the extra liquid evaporate. Now we need to clean up our workspace so we can get ready to make the dumplings. This is one of my favorite books. It comes with the dumplings recipe that we're going to use today. I'll link it below if you're interested. Lots of yummy homemade recipes in it. We need 2 cups flour, a half teaspoon of salt. We're going to melt 6 tablespoons of butter. And we're going to add a teaspoon of baking powder. Whisk that together, add your egg and your melted butter. And about a half cup of milk. We're going to work that all together until it's a nice ball. This is pretty thick, so don't be worried if you have to work a little bit to get it all incorporated. It's supposed to be thick, not real sticky. We're going to put it out on our floured surface and roll it out into a nice thin circle. Use a pizza cutter, fastest way to cut these up, and cut them into squares. Don't worry about it if they're not uniformly perfect. Like I said, it makes a lot, and we are not going to use all of these for the soup. Okay, Micah's gonna help me because she's an expert at this. All right, keep picking up for dinner.
Mom, what is it?
Put it in my room, please.
No!
All right, JJ, go ahead. All right, and so we are going to use the extra dumplings because we're only going to put about half of those in the soup. We have lard. We're going to melt it down. Powdered sugar. And a bowl for the done ones. We're going to make what we call beignets, but they are not truly beignets. They're just fried dumplings, so it's like a donut rolled in powdered sugar.
We call them donuts.
Yeah, sometimes we call them donuts too. It's just a fun treat. So we'll have chicken and dumplings, and we'll have fried dumplings kind of for the dessert / side, and everybody loves them, right?
Yes.
They're really good, and it's really fast, and it's just a great way to not waste all these extra dumplings.
You don't have to use powdered sugar. You can also use icing and other toppings, but most of the time we use powdered sugar because we never have icing.
Right, and plus you don't have to stop and ice them all. That I don't know. So first thing we have to do is we're going to melt this lard down. Again, if you want to know about making your own lard, I did a video recently, and I will link it below. We made this just from reserve lard or reserve fat from some pork that we bought at the grocery store. So free frying lard from stuff we already bought for other things. All right, so let's melt this down. You want to make sure it gets hot, but not too fast because it might pop up at you. We don't want anyone getting burned. Mikey, let's get you an apron to protect your shirt. Okay. Aprons on because we're going to be working with some grease. Let's protect our clothes. And then let's take a look at our soup. It's looking great. That's what we want. We're evaporating some of the extra liquid, getting all the flavors works together. We have our lard melted down. We're going to add enough squares that they aren't all touching, and we're going to cook them only for like a minute on each side. They cook really fast. You want them a nice golden brown, but not overdone. Once we've got them all flipped to cook on the other side, there's always that tricky one in there that you can't seem to get. We'll get it. Little help from Mom. There we go. And then we're going to remove them from the oil with a slotted spoon and throw them in the powdered sugar. Once they're all in the powdered sugar, going to give it a nice shake so they're coated, and then move them over to our finished bowl. While Micah works on making more, I'm going to add our dumplings to our soup. Get them all in there, and we're going to let them cook in there for just about 5 minutes. Let's clean up our workstation. It makes for less work later. Kind of mix the dumplings in, make sure they're not all stuck together, and then we're going to finish our donuts while our dumplings finish cooking. The donuts, you can't do them all in the pan at the same time because you don't want them to stick together, so it does take a little bit of patience to make these, but it's not too bad. We'll start serving up the soup when Micah finishes up those donuts. A little scoop for everybody, kid-size bowls and grown-up size bowls. It's looking great. It is so good and delicious. Donuts are pretty much done. Micah did a great job. We'll get those all mixed. And let's enjoy.
I want some donuts.
You want some donuts?
Yeah. They're so good. Here's one.
Mr. P's already digging into his soup. No, don't throw donuts.
Oops. Here, I'll bring them over. Yummy.
Yummy.
Want one? Mom, we made a super recipe. I don't know why.
You don't know why? JJ said this is your favorite, right? JJ?
I tasted it before. I love it.
It is a little hot, so blow on it.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for watching.
Here you go, another easy homemade meal from your canning pantry to get from working hard to dinner on the table pretty quickly. Say bye, everybody.
Bye.